Today is my birthday, so I thought I would share with you guys my favorite cake recipe. This is a Black Forest cake. As always, the recipe will be in the description. So you're going to want to start out with 5 large room temperature eggs, and you're going to give them a really good whisk. I always use my hand blender like this. You can do this in a stand mixer as well if you'd like. We're going to add our sugar in, and now we're going to mix this for like 4 to 5 minutes until it looks like this. You want it to be nice and light and fluffy, and actually kind of thick. Then we're going to add our oil, and we're going to add our vanilla extract. This is the best vanilla extract in the world. It comes from Mexico. If you can get it, get it. So you're just going to blend that in for another minute or so, and then we're going to start sifting out our dry ingredients. Flour, baking powder, and cocoa powder. I always use my whisk to get it through the sifter, makes it a little easier. Give it a good whisk to mix it up. And now we're going to add this in 3 different increments. So we're going to add a little, and when you are mixing and folding this in, make sure that you're being really gentle with it, because you want to try and keep the air in there. You don't want to mix all of the air that we just blended into it out. So you're just gently going to fold it over on top of itself as you go. I was doing this one-handed, so it was kind of hard while holding the camera. I know it looks like maybe I'm being vigorous, but I'm not. This is obviously sped up, so please, I can't stress enough that this needs to be done very gently and slowly. And make sure that you mix it all in really well. Now I have to give you a full disclosure here, you guys. I actually forgot an ingredient. At this point, you're supposed to add a cup of warm milk, and I forgot to do that. So if you don't have milk, the cake still turned out, but it would have been better with the milk. We're going to bake this in a springform pan. You can just use a regular cake pan if that's all that you have. I have lined it. I'm not using my cake goop here. I just lined it with some parchment paper. It makes it come out really nice and easy. And all you're going to do is pour it into your pan, and we're going to bake it at 350 for about 40 minutes. It takes a while for this cake to bake up. Sometimes it can take even 50 minutes. In the meantime, you're going to want to make up some simple syrup, because we're going to want this to cool off, and we will be putting simple syrup on this cake. It's just water and sugar, and I actually add a little bit of amaretto into this. It's not authentic, but it tastes really good, so that's what I use. You know your cake is ready when you can stick a toothpick, or in my case here, a wooden skewer in, and it comes out nice and clean, and it's ready to go. I will let this sit and cool a while before I even take it out of the springform pan. You can also make up some whipping cream, which we're going to decorate with. You can even keep this in the fridge and do it a day ahead. Now, my cake has been sitting overnight wrapped in plastic, because I find that the cake's always better if you use it from the next day. And what I'm going to do here now is not super well, but I'm going to trim this all up and cut it into 3 different layers. I'm not super professional at this, but it worked. That's all that matters. So I'm cutting the edges off because they're a little bit hard, and I cut the top off, and then I'm just cutting it into 3 equal layers, but these didn't turn out to be super equal. So as equal as you can get them, it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm also using a piping bag for my whipping cream, which you don't have to do. I just find it easier to get everything where I want it, and it always looks prettier in the end. But like I said, you totally don't have to use a piping bag if you don't have one. I put a little bit of whipping cream on my cake plate, just so that it doesn't move around. And I'm just using pie cherries for this. I try to avoid the goopy stuff that's in there and just use the cherries, but that's what that can was. So we're going to start decorating. We're going to put our simple syrup on, put as much as you'd like. This cake is very absorbent, so it will absorb it. And then I'm just going to put my cream on. And then I spread it out with a knife. And then I put my cherries on. Like I said, I try to avoid the goopy stuff and use more of the cherries so that it's not so sloppy on the inside. Then we're going to do another layer exactly like we just did the other one. Spread it out nice and smooth, and add your cherries. You could use fresh cherries here if you have them. I didn't have any, so this is what I used. Use whatever you have and whatever you like. Now we're on to our final, this is our top piece actually, it's not part of the layers. So this one's not going to have the cherries on there. And now I'm just going to start putting the rest of the whipping cream I have on here so that I can make it look pretty on the outside. Some people even just leave it. You don't even have to ice the outside of the cake. I like a lot of whipping cream personally, so I use a lot of whipping cream. I'm just spreading it out as smoothly as I can. Once again, you guys, this doesn't have to be perfect, and I certainly didn't make this perfect because I wasn't selling it to anyone. It was just for me. I did use my bench scraper to neaten up the sides a little bit. I'm a perfectionist. You don't have to do this, remember. You don't have to go to this extreme for this cake. I then used a little bit of paper towel just to clean up the bottom of the plate so that we didn't get our fingers dirty. Now here, I'm just shaving some chocolate, and I am not super great, you guys. Don't mind the next part. I kind of lost a little bit of footage, and it was really hard to get the chocolate on the side of this cake. If anybody does this like professionally and can tell me how to do this without making a huge mess, please let me know in the comment section. I kind of gave up after a while and didn't care anymore because this was for me, and it kind of turned out looking messier than I wanted it to. So if anybody knows how I can get the chocolate on the cake nicer, please let me know. Then all I did was pipe some more whipping cream on the top. This part is all for looks. Oh, and then I did some around the bottom. Once again, just for looks. None of this is necessary. Then I put some pie cherries on top of the little dollops I put on top. And there it is, all completed. Now, I didn't take a slice of this for you guys because it's actually currently still sitting in my fridge and we will be eating it tonight. I hope you give this a try.